Hello and welcome to Tell Us Your Effing Story, a podcast by BDC for franchisors, which goes behind the scenes with some of the most interesting characters in the Australian franchising industry. I'm your host, Bruce MacFarlane, my co-host, John Sully, and today we're speaking with Gary Harley, the founder of Kieser Australia.
Beautiful.
Welcome, John.
Welcome, thank you. Righto, Gary. Tell us your fucking story.
Okay, it's a franchising story, Gary. This is not fucking story, it's franchising.
Apologies.
Where would you like me to start?
Well, let's go right back. So, mate, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Newport in Victoria, and my father was a diesel mechanic and my mother was a bookkeeper for a motor parts provider in RVB in Spotswood. And as a young bloke, I actually had this, almost had a hobby, if you like, of earning money, or more in those days, reward for effort. So I was very keen to work as a young bloke. So I've always had an interest in business, I reckon, from a really early age, perhaps 8 or 9.
Yeah. Did you and at school, what else, like into sports and stuff, or into school, or really just
I actually was a footballer. I played for South Melbourne, had a couple of games in this for South Melbourne, played quite a few years in the reserves, then played in the VFA. So I had played about 400 games of footy. So I was very keen footballer.
No wonder your body's screwed.
Good on you.
No, I keep the surgeons busy now. But I was very keen footballer.
Was Gary Bryce there when you were there?
He was.
Brycey?
Yeah, Brycey, yeah. Funny guy.
I coached with his son for years.
Oh, okay.
South Melbourne's the Swans, isn't
Swans.
it?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, they moved. So they moved when Gary was there. They would have been South playing in the VFL.
Yeah.
And then they moved to Sydney.
Yeah, I left South, I think, in 75 and went to Williamstown, and the Swans moved to Sydney, I think, a year or two later.
Yep.
So it was pretty quick, pretty soon thereafter.
So what did you play? What was your position?
Oh, I wanted to play in the centre, but they wanted to make me a rover.
Right.
So, but I should have been a back pocket player. When I look back, yeah, I definitely should have been a back pocket player.
So footy was the main passion back in the day.
It was.
Back in the day. And
It was.
School was, where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Williamstown Tech School.
Yeah.
But my mother had always had earmarked me to do commerce.
Yeah, the bookkeeping side of it.
Yeah.
The
Well,
numbers.
interesting. She seemed to have a career or a skill level or an education pinned for my brother and myself. He was to be an engineer and I was to be an accountant.
And why the engineer?
Because her brother was an engineer,
Right.
and he was working for the federal government,
Right.
and so I'm not quite sure. I think she just wanted him to follow in Sid's footsteps.
Yeah.
He's a pretty successful guy, and she wanted me to be an accountant, and I got no idea why. But so I went to Williamstown Tech, which is a very strange school to do accountancy from.
Yeah.
But the Williamstown Tech had a commerce stream, and it had a bloke named Jack Morrow was the head of department, and he was just a brilliant teacher, brilliant. So I really enjoyed my years at Willie Tech. It was good fun. Pretty
Got through to the end?
we did Form 5 in those days.
Yeah.
It was a pretty rough school, by the way, but it was good fun. And then I went to Footscray University, or Victoria University now, and did an accountancy diploma there. And then when I finished that, I'd had a teacher's studentship. They'd funded me through school, so I was getting paid to play footy, and I'm getting paid by the education department to go to school. So when I finished my degree, I had to go and do a postgrad at Hawthorn Teachers College, and then I taught I had to teach for at least 3 years to pay them back. So I taught for about 6 or 7 years at Footscray College.
So your entrepreneurship, you were saying early days you were, finding a buck as a kid. What sort of jobs were you having, putting yourself through uni and stuff?
Well, through uni,
footy.
football really paid for my schooling. But as a young guy, as a kid, 9, 10, 11, 12, I used to do a paper round in the morning for the local news agency. And then in the afternoon, once a week, I'd do the neighbourhood paper round, if you like. So I had 2 paper rounds. And I used to do odd jobs. I'd mow the ladies' lawn next door as long as I got paid for it. So it was it was like a hobby. As long as I got the reward for my effort, I was happy. I didn't care what I did. As long as I got rewarded, I was happy.
What'd you do with the cash?
Oh,
Did you
just
spend
stuck it in a jar.
He saved it?
Did
I
you?
saved
Squirreled it?
I saved it, and then I remember the very first purchase probably I would have been maybe 15. I went up to the local furniture store and bought myself a desk, a roll top desk. So as a
15-year-old,
as a 15, it's a pretty weird. I didn't buy a bike or a skateboard I bought
going on
a
there?
desk. Well, I wanted a roll top desk so I could lock it, so I could put my money in there and everything I wanted to hide.
How
from my
is your brother younger or older? Yeah.
Older.
Yeah, so he'd be young.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bit of cash here.
Oh,
I'll get
yeah,
that.
my word.
And was he doing the same stuff? Was he
No,
just cruising around?
No, he was lead singer of a local band. I think.
He's just chasing
I was working my
girls.
ass off, and he was dating all the good-looking chicks.
Yeah. You're playing footy though, so that's all right.
yeah.
You're getting a kick, and
Yeah, well, that was look at that particular age. I was training a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, and yeah.
well, you sort of help. You know, we're going to talk about health and fitness and stuff later, but it's obviously you're right into it from a young age, playing footy and
Yeah.
looking after yourself and going for the paper round's good for your fitness as well.
What happened? I played at Williamstown, and then I went to Yarraville and played there for 4 years, and then I left the VFA and went to live and build a house at Mount Macedon, and I got the coaching job at the Macedon Footy Club, and I did that for 4 years. And whilst I was there, I met Gary Kosier, and Gary Kosier, ex-Test cricketer, and wonderful guy,
yeah,
terrific bloke, and he introduced me to indoor cricket arenas, a new concept from Perth which had come over, and they were franchising indoor cricket stadiums effectively and playing indoor cricket. And he wanted to get involved in that. And that was my first foray into franchising. I actually partnered up with him and another friend of mine who was our accountant, and we bought the franchise for Tullamarine and opened up an indoor cricket centre. And
So what did that look like? Is that 3 or 4 pitches? Is it like
there was four courts, we'd call them, 4 courts.
courts? Yeah.
And it was a brand new sport to the state back in
Yeah, I was going to say, when was this?
1983.
Yeah, okay.
And it was hugely popular at the time because it was.
So you weren't teaching anymore by this stage?
No, I had actually resigned.
Yeah.
I resigned from teaching and actually went and helped Gary run the cricket facility.
Yeah.
And I'd resigned from teaching. It was the year of the fires, the
83,
1983 Black Friday, and the house
Ash Wednesday.
Ash Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's right. And the house we were building basically got burnt down,
Yeah.
and so we had to start rebuilding it again. So I resigned from teaching, and went and started working at the cricket facility.
Teaching is an interesting one. Obviously, from an entrepreneurial, it's like not necessarily something that entrepreneurial background, but from a coaching and teaching point of view and running people and teams and stuff, I imagine you took some learnings out of being a teacher.
Oh, definitely.
Into coaching for starters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, teaching's just like coaching. You've got to motivate your students. Well, you've got to help to motivate them. They've got to have some intrinsic motivation, but you've got to bring that out of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good things about teaching. I mean, planning your lesson plans, for example, is not that dissimilar to planning your football game.
Yeah.
How you're going to go about delivering what it is that you're servicing.
So what were you teaching? Because you did the business, and then taught. So did you teach business like accounting and
we taught basic bookkeeping 101
in schools though?
In the college, and it was at TAFE level, so we're talking about 18-year-olds. But I think the main subject I taught in the end was statistics.
Oh, right.
And I really enjoyed statistics. It was a great subject to teach. But there's a lot of things that come out of teaching that I enjoyed. There's a lot of things about the system I didn't like.
Yeah.
But teaching itself was very enjoyable.
And how long did you coach for after Macedon? Was there any other coaching?
No, I was a much better footballer than I was a coach.
No flags, no. What were we talking about?
Football? Lots of yelling.
We support the same football team, Gary and I. So the Cats, and the Cats coach put on a masterclass on Friday night. So tactically. There's a lot in it.
Well, I was also playing coach, and
that's hard.
When you look back, it's not hard. It's actually
Really?
it's actually impossible.
Oh, yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Like you're trying to write about your own game, and then you got to know where everyone else is at the same time. I don't know how captain coaches work.
Well, you
all.
might be able to do it if you're full back, but playing in the centre was
rover
very
and
hard.
Yeah, you need a really good assistant coach who's basically running the board for you. Yeah.
You need a coach that sits on the bench. That's what
Yeah.
you need. You don't want one running around the ground.
Well,
Your
particularly-
captain should do that.
Yeah, and you've probably been playing. You're probably at the end of your career, aren't you? So
Oh, look, no, not really.
you kept playing.
I did play. I went back and helped a mate of mine who coached the club later. I had a couple of years off, then I went back and played when I was about 35, 36.
Oh, geez.
And I was still a very handy player then.
Yeah.
And I was still very fit. I was running marathons at that time. Hang on.
You got some water?
Yeah, I was running. I was really fit. So, but I really didn't want to. I'd lost the interest, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I didn't want to go to training or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I was getting heavily involved in business by this stage, very heavily.
Yeah, so you've indoor cricket, so that's your first look at franchising.
Yeah,
so
we
indoor
bought-
cricket went crazy for 15 years.
Well,
yeah.
we bought a franchise, and the short story is that we bought a franchise for ICA. I ended up developing 12 indoor sports facilities in Melbourne, changing the name and buying out the franchisor. So we end up floating a public company on the second market when they introduced it in 1987, about a month before the crash. So it was
Perfect timing.
yeah, we had a terrific business. It was going great, and then the public market just died.
So how about so you've listed it? It's you with 12 centres. You probably what would you be turning over then for the group?
You know what, Bruce, I can't even remember.
Yeah,
It would have
because it wouldn't have been that big to list.
No.
Like
In those back in 1985, 87, it would have been 10 million.
Yeah, because it seems like pretty early to list a business.
No, but remember, there was this. You guys probably don't even remember it, but it was the second board. The stock exchange
Yeah.
actually introduced a second board like
Bendigo.
Wasn't it the Bendigo Exchange?
well, it wasn't. It was later.
Yeah.
But I think it was later. But they had introduced, and it was to actually bring in young, small companies to help them develop, to try and get some capital to grow. And our product, the indoor sports product, we actually developed a indoor softball game that we wanted to take to America on the same basis of indoor cricket, and it was a really very good game. So the idea was to actually take our technology, if you like, our IP, and implant it into the American system with a softball version of cricket on a triangular court, 3 bases, not 4. And we went over to Chandler, Arizona, bought a bit of land and built a building and a shopping centre and started up an indoor, it's called Cable, indoor softball facility with a bar, sports bar, the whole works, whole American thing.
Yeah.
And then in 1988, you couldn't possibly believe it. The 1988, the savings and loan crisis hit America, and it started in Arizona. The guy that actually started the collapse of the savings and loans was an Arizonan company, and the entire market got wiped out. There was about
It's a funny place to start though. Like it's not like Phoenix is huge, but it's not.
Well, Phoenix had was a 2 million population, wasn't that big, and
Really? It's like 8 or something now.
and
It's
the
massive.
suburb was Chandler. It was a new suburb. But the reason we picked Arizona was because it was so hot in summer you couldn't play outside.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So we play inside at night with a bar. So it was pretty good.
And before the shit hit the fan, did it start to operate?
Yes.
And was it going well?
Yes, it was. Look, it was going well enough, and we needed to expand, have more courts because it was essentially a test site. But the product worked, the participation worked, our competition system worked. So all the elements that make these products come together was working. And what we need to do is then go out and build a bigger one, 4 courts in another suburb, and grow the business. But the entire market got wiped out. The shopping centre closed. The entire shopping centre closed.
So this is owned by the listed company?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back a step. So you're a franchisee. Franchising in the 80s was pretty unsophisticated. Like, there wasn't a lot of franchise systems. What did you...
We're a franchisor.
So you're the franchisee to start with, though, weren't you?
Yeah,
and then you bought the franchisor.
Yeah.
So I'm just like that journey. So as a franchisee, you're starting out.
Yeah.
What sort of systems and processes did they actually have for you, other than a brand and a?
Well,
And then what did you do to change that as a franchisor?
well, that's a good question because in services, in human services, effectively what you're franchising is your IP. Now, what constitutes IP? And in this particular case, it's actually the concept. So they've invented the concept. And then it's the courts. It's the size of the courts and it's the way the nets are built. It's the scoreboard. It's the scoring system.
Most of which you can copy.
You can copy everything in franchising, right?
Yeah.
But what you're buying is someone's idea, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's someone's idea. And then they've expanded the idea and built a whole lot of IP around it. And you say, I want that IP. I'm going to rent it, just like you're going to rent a building.
Yeah.
You pay rent for that IP.
Yeah.
And the basis which you pay rent is a percentage of your sales.
Yeah, but that in the 80s, that's not done that often. So Macca's did it, ITP, which we've interviewed. Like, there's been a few, but there weren't a lot to pay that 5 or 10% or whatever you're paying back then as a royalty. So you're pretty an early adopter into franchising, and then went, hang on, this model's all right, because you've ended up buying out the franchisor and went. Did you do anything when you bought it to grow it to the 12 sites? Did you change anything?
We did. We changed a few things. We changed the length of the game. From 8 balls to 6 balls, from 90 minutes to 70 minutes. We changed the model. You don't play once a week, you play 5 games in 4 weeks. So there's lots of tweaks we made. We didn't change any of the core intelligence, right? So the courts all stayed the same, the structure stayed the same. But I think the reality is that you've got to be in a pretty high margin business to pay a franchise fee. So franchising services, to start with, the margins have got to be high. If the margins are high, then you can afford to pay a rental for the IP. If the margins are really low, it makes it very difficult. Very difficult.
And then, but the centres are obviously making money if you've listed it. So.
Making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
They were terrific.
But because after the setup costs, your labour's probably fuck all.
Yeah, that's right. Low labour cost. Highest days, our margin would have been 30% EBITDA.
And setup costs for something like that would be
the
7 or 8?
The capital exposure was almost zero because all those facilities, when you set them up, they're almost completely asset financed. So your capital injection was low, your cash return was high, so it made it very viable to be a franchise.
Yeah.
So you're a franchisor now. You're supporting other franchisees. You've got your own system. You've listed it. Things are going well, and then obviously the market's crashed. So tell us about that decline and how quickly did the blow up and what was left.
Well, the two things happened. Was one, the market crashed in Australia, and then the savings and loans incident in America. In America, the bank called their loan up, gave you 7 days to pay it back. That was on
nice.
a mortgage.
Yeah.
So you just went down the bank and left your keys there. That's exactly what happened. There was no guarantees or anything over in the States, no recourse loans. So you just handed the property back. So we burnt, all the capital we built the property with, came back to Australia. And then we sold off the ANZ were our bank. And I'm happy to say this, then they pulled their loan. They gave us about 30 days to pay back because we were a cash flow lend in those days. And there was a flight to quality by the banks. So they said, look, we want AAA borrowers, and you guys aren't. You're a cash flow lend, so pay us back our money. So we had to sell our stadiums to actually pay them back. So we sold them back to the franchisees essentially, and we formed a co-op. So not a franchise, a co-op, and we all worked together from a marketing standpoint.
So you were listed.
Yep.
You've taken it off the market.
Well, we actually sold all the business back to the individuals, to the franchisees, to the guys that were running them.
Yeah.
And then we sold the shell to a company who wanted a public company shell.
All right. So you're now. Did you have any centres yourself?
Yeah, I ended up with Tullamarine.
Yeah.
So
which is the first one we had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we stuck together as a marketing co-op.
Yep.
And
which was more common than franchising back then.
it was, and it actually worked very well.
Yeah.
I think there's a few sports stores used to do it. You know?
Yeah.
Well, supermarket. My parents were in super retail.
Yeah.
And good Tucker Bag and good fellows and all that. They were all co-ops.
Yeah.
Buy the stock from the warehouse.
Yeah.
And all get together and work together. But it wasn't a franchise.
Well, you think about the franchise services business. Once you've developed your asset, right, the thing that you want most from your franchisor is leads, right? So it's marketing driven after you've got your establishment. So once you've got you're established, it's then really all about marketing leads.
Are there any going on today still? Like any indoor cricket centres anywhere?
Look, I think
There's
so.
one in Mornington, isn't there? Yeah.
It still exists.
I think there's still a few. They've sort of evolved into other things. Like there's indoor football.
Yeah.
Indoor soccer was big. I mean, I went to Japan and we promoted indoor soccer there to a very large company and sold the IP to them.
Yeah, great.
I did that in South Africa. But I think they sort of evolved into the same concept for other sports.
So you're a bit of a fucking nut, really, aren't you? You're just into everything.
Yeah, well, at the time it was pretty busy. We had a couple of stadiums in the UK. You had 32 in South Africa. Developed one in Toronto. We had the softball in Arizona.
How did so South Africa was cricket as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that franchise company went global quickly or no?
No, it wasn't franchising. I was selling the IP.
Yeah.
So I wasn't interested in franchise. So we used to clip the ticket of the of the teams. So in Japan, we got paid by a number of teams that they had.
That was softball in Japan.
Yeah, it's basically renting the IP.
Yeah.
Because we had a software system that drove the competitions, which is the key to it all.
Yeah.
Right. Without the competitions, it's just another, sort of public facility, really. So the competitions ran the whole thing. So we were basically licensing the software.
And is this still with your accountant and Crozier?
No. Gary ended up with, I think, owning Preston, and then he sold out of that and went on and became a golf course manager and worked for IMG.
Okay.
And my accountant, he stayed with us until after the float. When we floated, he'd left.
Right.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. God, you got a bit going on. Fucking hell, it's got so many questions. So the South African stuff had 32, but you didn't own those, but you just, like you said, there was just
we licensed
IP'd it.
We licensed the IP.
Okay. And then so you're coming back to it. So in Australia at that time, so that's early mid-90s, is it? Were you around that time?
Early 90s.
Yeah.
Early 90s. What happened then was that the Tullamarine facility that we'd taken over, that I was running then and owned, the property next door had been developed by a gym, and the gym had opened and then within about 2 weeks closed. And it was like some sort of Ponzi scheme, where people paid up in front to join the gym, and then the gym just disappeared.
Right.
So the building was vacant. And at the same time, I'd read an article in a local paper, not a local paper, in some sort of journal, I think, about a lady in Bendigo who was opening up a female-only gym business called Fernwood. Mm-hmm. So I contacted a friend of mine who had actually opened the second franchise in Altona, and she used to work with me as a teacher. And I spoke to her and asked her what it was like, what she thought, and she said, "This was fantastic, really brilliant concept, great business." So I went to Bendigo and met Di Williams, who is the founder of Fernwood, and bought a franchise off her for that building at Tullamarine. It was empty, but it had been set up as a gym, so the capital cost to refit it for Fernwood wasn't incredible. But what really got me interested was that I was able to buy the building off the landlord who had an empty building there. So I did a transaction with him to buy that building. And so we were the landlord, and I was able to get Fernwood to be the tenant, and then we became the franchisee. And a girl who worked for me who was basically the office manager at the indoor sports facility, I got her to be the manager of Fernwood. She was really had no skills in that area, but she was a terrific operator. So she was the manager of Fernwood. So we started ladies. It was the third one in Victoria, Ladies Only Health Club, and it was just a great concept. At that particular time, in the early 90s, it was just so refreshing to have a clean, good smelling, nice clientele business.
It's still got, my daughter goes to Fernwood in Mornington. It's still, and I saw Dice spoke at the franchising event up in June.
Right.
And so I know that it's like a lot of businesses, I think it sort of had a bit of challenges at different times in the business. But so did you end up with others or just the one?
No, I was the largest franchisee of hers in Australia, but I ended up with 6. But interestingly, by this stage, after my experience with indoor cricket and renting properties off big spaces off landlords, I saw it as a property play.
Actually bought the property.
Yeah, I've developed all the properties.
Yeah.
So because it was outlying suburbs where there were young mums, who wanted to stay in good nick and they had time, land was affordable to buy, and so we developed, because they were about 1,000 square metres, they were worthwhile developing. So we developed the buildings themselves. So we did the land and property development, and then Fernwood took the head lease, and then we actually owned the franchise. And eventually, I sold the franchises off to others years later.
Yeah,
kept the properties, as for a while, and then we eventually sold the properties off. We had a syndicate at the time, but it was really a property play.
Yeah,
and they were a great tenant because they were clean, had a good clientele. There was no, just ticked a lot of boxes as a tenant. And the businesses were actually that we owned, that we were the franchisee of.
Yep, they all did well as well.
They actually did very well.
Hold on a second, John. I want to interrupt this BDC Partners podcast to let everyone know we've launched Emerging Giants, an investment opportunity. We're designed to uncover and support Australia's next generation of retailers and franchisors. So what are we looking for?
Right. So we want small businesses, franchise systems, whatever, that have got 3 outlets or more that are looking to grow, that we can help. And we're going to invest up to 250 grand, whether in one or in multiples, and also the resources, full resources of BDC, so we can help them realise their dreams. That's pretty much it. We're going to do a pitch night.
So we're here to support founders and business owners to really to grow their businesses. They don't have to be franchised. They could be retail businesses.
Yep.
They could have territories, they don't have to be bricks and mortar.
Nope.
We're looking at all sorts of businesses. It'll be we're having a pitch night in Melbourne on the 13th of November. It'll be at Fordham's and the Rialto. So people will be coming in from interstate. So what we're going to do during the day is have an education event. So during that day, we'll start after lunch and we'll look at getting some speakers in where we can present to the emerging franchisors and retailers, as well as doing some peer-to-peer learning. So bringing some other business owners in there to help out and to facilitate some discussions.
Yep.
We've been running education events for about 5 years, so we're pretty good at running those events and helping the franchisors and retailers that we work with. So if you're interested, people listening today, the link below in the episode description, you can put in an application form and be part of our Emerging Giants.
Get into it, guys. We're here to help. We want to grow it and inject your business today.
And so you're learning as a so now you're back. So you've been a franchisee, then you're a franchisor. Now you're back to being a franchisee.
Yep.
At the same, if you got rid of your indoor cricket stuff by this stage,
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's all gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now you're a franchisee again, and so Di's developing a franchise system. You're learning anything as a franchisee again from what, like, is she, on your journey of franchising? Is there things that Di did that you hadn't thought of, or that you picked up along the way? Or you just followed the system and it worked? So
No, I think generally speaking, we just followed the system.
And it worked.
I mean, as a franchisee, you always know better.
Yeah.
You've always got.
Well, that's right. You're going pretty well. So
you always know better, but there's no point in rocking the boat if what you've got is doing what it should do. And get a good return on sales, on equity, and it was a good tenant. So.
You were wearing different hats there, because a few of the other guys, a few people did rock the boat with Di over the journey and pushed back, and she ended up, I think, had a couple of blues back in the day.
Yeah, she did,
with some multi-unit people.
Yeah.
So you obviously went, no, I'm just going to let it. It's making money. Let it do its thing.
Yeah. Well, I had actually, I think I had pretty much got out of it when
all that happened.
there's a few issues there, but largely, I think in that particular case, it was probably more personnel driven.
So because I don't know the issue. We do know some of the people, but I don't know the actual issues that they were fighting about. So without naming the people, but do you think it was just a personality conflict between Dye and the franchisees?
Not between Dye.
Oh,
No, not between Dye.
yeah,
But there was people that worked for the organisation that probably would be better off working for another organisation.
yeah.
At that time,
At head office level.
At that time.
And so they weren't necessarily. So as a franchisee, you felt that maybe the franchisor wasn't doing the right thing by some of the franchisees. So there was a little bit in it.
Yeah, well, when if you change direction or you want to become much more authoritarian, and if you don't do it at the start and you try and bring it in along the way, it can create issues. And I think the way that the management handled that was not great.
So what's the model? What's the Fernwood? Is it a membership? You just pay monthly amount, use it as much as you want.
Annuity business.
Yeah, okay.
Pay monthly, and you pay extra for different services, and it's affordable. So it's not an expensive thing. It's for ladies out at Caroline Springs, for example, who got a membership for $25 a week. So it's a very good service for a low price.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's super. I think now it's not necessarily the cheap. Like Anytime Fitness and the other gym, the 24-hour gyms are a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in the middle now.
Yeah.
Like it's not where we're going to get to. It's not premium.
No, but it's well. Let's put it this way: it's very good value for money.
So what did they get to? How many did Fernwood?
Although I think they got to about 80 clubs around Australia.
Yeah, right.
Good business model. And I think they've still got 75 clubs around Australia.
Yeah.
It's a strong brand, very strong brand.
Yeah.
So she, there was some challenges in the business. Some people left and did other stuff, and multi-unit franchise. They had the good multi-unit franchisees. But then it's got through all of that because I feel that like back in the 90s, there was a lot of Curves and others that were kind of coming along. There was competitors that were women-only gyms. That kind of came in. I don't know if that still exists. If that,
I think there's probably at the fringe level, but as much as we talk about franchising, it's also about selecting the franchisee. Remember, it's not all one way. You just don't pick up anyone on the side of the street who wants to have a franchise. People have got to really understand that they are renting someone else's intellectual property, and a lot of people don't like that.
Well, like you said before, a lot of the time they might think that's a good idea at the start, but then they know more than the franchisor quite quickly. So,
or that question is always, what are you doing for me?
Yeah.
Well, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be doing anything.
Yeah.
But it's interesting the point you raised that if you have a look at most franchise businesses and their evolution at the start, and this is a bit like Zoracle, that at the start you need someone who's entrepreneurial because you haven't really got your shit together yet.
Yeah.
You need someone that's collaborative.
So you're number 3.
Yeah.
You're pretty entrepreneurial.
Yeah. So you just work with them and tweak it and blah, blah, blah. And then that gets a bit tighter, like what you're saying. And then you just need people that just do as they're fucking told.
Yeah.
Because you got it all nailed. It's like it's McDonald's.
Yeah, it's all right.
And so it's that, as you say, managing that transition along the way, how you're dragging people. We've got one at the moment where we're just transitioning from entrepreneurial, I suppose, to a bit tighter.
Yes.
And we've got quite a few of them on the market because they're like, this is not us. And I'm like, fucking beauty. We can affect some real change.
Look, that is so correct. I mean, what happens if you want to affect that change? Franchisees might choose to do something else because they don't like, that particular style.
Yep.
I think the really big thing for me missing out of a lot of franchises is that the franchisor doesn't have an operational base themselves. So what happens? You have a good idea, you do one, you test one, and then you start selling franchises. And you haven't really built a foundation, you haven't built an operating system that you run, that all the problems and you solve the quirks. you've got to have a foundation before you franchise.
Definitely.
That's what I believe.
Yep.
And I think that's
100%.
what we've done with Kieser. You've got to have a strong foundation.
Well, was
that the next step?
Was Kieser after Fernwood? Was there anything in between?
No, Kieser was after Fernwood.
So we met in the mid 2000s, and I think looked it up. It was 2004 that you went to Zurich and you did a deal with them, and it was a couple of years later that you opened up the pilot site. So that's a couple of years. Like what was the gap between going and well, actually I'll go back. Why did you go to Zurich?
Okay,
to find Kieser?
Okay, so we're leading on from Fernwood to Kieser. Yeah. So we had Fernwood, and I think I'd sold off all but one Fernwood.
Yep.
Okay. And we used to go to the URSA conferences overseas, and there was a company over there called Kieser that were making pneumatic machines that for the older generation, so more balance boards, more machine-driven, weight-loaded exercise for a mature market. I was very interested in this because I wanted to introduce this as basically a circuit for older people at Fernwood. So rather than have my market all 40 and below, I wanted to grow the market 40 and above. And I wanted to keep those who had now turned 40, who were going to be 50 in 10 years' time. I wanted a program that would be good for them. So I was looking at this baby boomer market really and machines for them. And Kieser in America were developing exactly what I was looking for. And so I was on the computer one day and I was searching them again, and I typed in KIE, and they were spelled KEI.
Oh, yeah.
I typed in KIESER, and up popped Werner Kieser from Switzerland, which was curious. And there was an article in a thing called Club Magazine that they had featured, so I went and got the magazine and read the article. But when I got the magazine and read the article, there was a great big photo, and the photo was of this training room, a Kieser training room. So if you've been to Kieser, you'd know what I'm talking about. I just saw it and I went, wow, that is awesome. That is Swiss. Timber, stainless, glass, machines, really great looking machines. And I thought, this is just, I fell for it. So I thought, I'm going to go over and meet this bloke. And so I went over to Switzerland, got an introduction from Credit Suisse, went and met him and their key executives, and said, look, I want to buy the master franchise for Australia. I'd been to Austria first to have a look at one. They just opened a new clinic in Austria, had at the time about 3,500 members. It was at the bus terminal, key bus terminal, about 1,000 square metres, had nearly 90 machines in there. It was packed with people, and I was just like
big setup,
over the moon.
So he was a boxer, and
Who?
Kieser.
Werner Kieser.
Oh, right. So after a bloke.
Yeah,
right.
it's a bloke. So he's a boxer, and he was obviously into looking after himself after his boxing career.
Right. Yeah.
And so he's developed this system and these equipment. So basically you can't spell and you've fallen into this business.
Well, I was good at numbers.
So how funny, because obviously people spell it wrong still today, all the time, like even in our documents.
But was the US
it's still going.
A copy of?
No, totally different. But it's fitness equipment because like you buy that still exists because I think at the RACV they've got the bikes.
You can buy Kieser American equipment.
Yeah.
Right.
So you've gone to Switzerland, you've signed this deal. You've met with him.
Yeah.
Looked at the equipment and the actual facility as well as the equipment. So, which looked good.
I just knew it would work. I just said this will work in Australia absolutely for sure.
Yeah,
it was exactly the right market. It was all about the back. So their lead generator was was back strength, or will fix your back pain. All aimed at 50 plus. Everyone was 50 plus that I saw in there. It was just everything was right about it. And so I went and sat down with Werner and said, look, I want to buy the master license for Australia.
So he was obviously in Switzerland and Austria, and I know when Germany. We talked, and Germany and the UK, they were just looking at back then because
started 2 clinics in the UK.
Yeah, so he was in his very early days of globalization himself, and had a good business by the sounds of it. And so you were, the actual product itself you were into, but like when you came to Australia, you opened a pilot. Like what was it? Basically, just a copy of what they did. Yeah.
Yeah, look, but it was tiny.
Yeah.
You got to remember first that when I said you want to buy the license for Australia, he just looked at me and he said no. Like no, he was not interested.
So
Why?
what did he think you were coming to see him about?
Well, yeah, he's just
Fuck knows.
whether he was going to buy equipment off him or
right.
they had the patent for all the equipment. They make the machines. Maybe it was to buy the equipment. I've got no idea, but he said no, not interested whatsoever. Where? Australia.
Austria. Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
Like he
So he
had
just
no interest whatsoever.
Oh, really?
No interest whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then, but he had a guy who was running the international expansion for him, David Fritz, who spoke very good English, and Werner spoke very poor English. And David was able to eventually convince him we should sell the license to these guys and give them a bit of help.
Use that loosely.
Yeah, like, that's right.
So
Good luck.
But how many did they have at that stage?
They had about 140.
Oh, so they're surging ahead.
Oh, they're a big company.
Fuck. Okay.
And these are thousands.
This is in the 2000s,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's like a long time.
Oh,
20
they got
20 years ago.
200,000 members. Like, it's just a big business.
And making what would it turn over one centre? One of those.
Oh, they're probably €2 million.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is big stuff.
Jeez.
So you opened Sydenham and then you moved it to South Melbourne in 2008. So that was the first big one?
It was
or?
a little bit before that,
Yeah.
Bruce. What happens, I took a physiotherapist over with me on the second trip.
Oh, right, okay,
right,
yeah.
Because I was really interested in that. I wanted to have a more medical spin on my lead generator. Okay.
Yeah.
So I took a physiotherapist over there, and we have a machine called the LE machine. It's a very big machine which assesses the strength of your lower back muscles, your metaphysis. And I wanted to know whether or not if a physiotherapist used this machine would be able to claim on their private medical benefits. The Swiss and Germans didn't. It was just a piece of their equipment. It had a computer on it and so on, but I saw it as a different animal and a different use, really. So I took a physiotherapist over there and said, look, here's this machine. If we bring people in to assess the strength of their back, would you be able to claim this on through their private health cover?
Yeah.
And he said, of course you would. It's a physiotherapy session. So I thought, okay, well, if that's the case, I need physiotherapists. So my model was basically physiotherapy driven.
So from the start.
Whereas their model
Is
is
a gym.
lifestyle driven.
Yeah. So you identified that because I know, like going forward, it's the physio becomes a big part of it.
Yep.
Your franchisees are physios and
Yep.
stuff. But so right at the start, you went, okay, we're not just going to be a gym.
Yep.
We're going to be a medical centre.
Yeah, I didn't want to be a gym.
Yeah.
I'd actually lost faith in the gym model, not the business model, but the fact that really the people who go to gyms, they don't need anything. They really don't need the health benefit, until they're a bit older. They do it because they want to stay in good shape, and they do it for a image.
Aesthetics sort of thing. Yeah.
Generally not for their health.
Yep.
And when you try and provide ladies with weight programs, they want to spend most of their time on the
Treadmill.
cardio machine, which is, you go walk your dog. You don't need to get on a cardio machine. What you need to do is to push some weights.
So you obviously had been in fitness. Obviously, you started, played a lot of sport and right into fitness. But we're getting past, we're medical now.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you're not medically trained,
Yep.
but you're talking to physios. You're talking about, the fact that what you're talking about.
Yep.
We need that. We need strength. All of my mates are in their 50s and we're doing weights because that's what people are telling us to do. But 20 years ago, that wasn't as common.
No.
It was all about cardio.
Yep.
So did you do any other market research or did you just talk to you had a mate who was a physio or how did you?
Well, I had a lot of experience with physios, Bruce.
Because you kept getting
I have
injured.
a lot of experience with physios.
The scars as well.
And always the cure for muscular problems was some sort of resistance.
Yeah.
Okay. You always do resistance to recover from muscular damage. So resistance has always been a big player, in my health routine.
Yeah.
And Di Williams, when she started Fairwood, it was all about weights for ladies. So there's a lot of evidence, on building muscle.
The benefit of strength.
Yeah.
Because, and, this is a big generalisation, but medical professionals aren't necessarily entrepreneurial often, and it's, they're trained to provide services to patients and look after them. And and so bringing, like I've done a few different franchise groups in medical, and it's been a bit of a challenge to get them, whether they be optometrists or pharmacists or whatever. So you've gone and pushed ahead with this and gone, we need physios who are entrepreneurial, and we're going to build a business around that.
Well, so we had a little test facility at Sydenham where we had, I think, 12 machines and an LE machine, and we had a physio would come in. We had a young graduate physio, Paul Percy, came in and did the what we called a 1EX, which is a session on the LE to assess the strength of your spine. And the reality that the way we built our model was that, look, we said to someone, you're really below average. Your back strength is below medium for a male, 55, 75 kilos. Your back strength is way below. we need to strengthen your back before we start strengthening anything, because otherwise you're just going to injure yourself. So you're going to be injured in 2 weeks, you're not going to come back. Right? So you've got to have a strong back. That was our motto. We'll strengthen your back, then we'll be able to strengthen everything else.
Yep.
But we can't strengthen your bloody shoulder if your back's weak, because you'll just hurt yourself.
Yeah. And so that process that you developed, and obviously I'm a client, so I know the process, but having the OTs in there, so you're creating so you got physios and occupational therapists that are going through and helping people with their program. So the physio, you go and see a physio, they refer you to the OT, then you've got 6 sessions with the OT helping you develop your program and understanding the machine. So has that evolved, or is that's just a new thing, or is that early days?
No. We still follow basically exactly the same program. What happens is you spend the first 6 weeks, let's say, essentially under the guidance of your physiotherapist, doing what we call the MST, muscular strengthening therapy. So what we're doing is that we're strengthening your back, and then we're strengthening your core, right? So we're working on your core first. So it's branch, then the limbs. So after that, we say to you, what you need to do is you need to train twice a week. We'll give you a program of 10 machines, takes about 35 minutes, and we'll work on your core, your legs, your upper body. And we change that program.
I've been trying to get
every 20 weeks. Every 20 weeks we change that program for you.
Yeah, right. And it's so the program itself is very medical and stuff, and also probably the other thing that you developed is you didn't want to be a gym, so there's no loud music, there's no mirrors, there's no people, like it's all about the medical and machines that isolate particular muscles and stuff. So obviously the Swiss are doing that, but so that was their model. Yes. And then you've went, I like that, because in Australia it's too much about look at me at the gym. Yeah. So you liked what the Swiss were doing, and is that part you followed, or did you develop an Australian version?
No. We followed. There's two streams, MST and PST. They're both the same. Swiss and Australia do the same thing. Yeah. Except our MST is all delivered by physiotherapists, whereas over there it's delivered by exercise trainers. Yeah. So we only employ physiotherapists, exercise physiologists, and exercise therapists, OTs.
Yeah.
So
what does it look like now? How many of these have you got?
There's 32 open, and we've got another 6 opening in the next 15 months. So we'll have 38 by the end of next year, I should say. We like our model to be about 700 square metre sort of footplate floor space. Sort of 50 or 60 machines. No.
Right.
No. This is the really interesting piece about the way we franchise. We're a corporate franchisee. So I own the master license with my partner, Tony Smith, and the Australian company has exclusive rights to sub-franchise in Australia.
Right.
And but their franchising system is based on company majority-owned clinics.
Okay, yeah.
So our partners in the clinics are our physiotherapists. And if we go back to when I first started, what happened was that Paul Percy, who was our very first physiotherapist, I wanted to franchise back in those days, but I quickly realised that I couldn't franchise a physiotherapist because they weren't business people. You know, they're medical people.
Not that animal, yeah.
So I recruited one of my fellow franchisees from Fernwood, Dan Lee, to actually partner with Paul to open up the first franchise in Campbell, of which we were partners. We the company, parent company, were partners as well. Yeah. So I teamed them up because I realised I couldn't. This is not a product you can actually just sell franchises for because entrepreneurs weren't medical people. So I had to find a way to get these two together. And that evolved. Tony Smith came on as CEO in 2010, and that evolved further with our equity partner program, where we own all the clinics, and then we sell down a share to our key equity partners, our key physiotherapists or exercise scientists in those clinics. So up to say we own 70% as a corporation, 30% is owned by the local physiotherapist or a combination of physiotherapist and clinic manager.
And that's working well?
It works fantastic. It's great because basically they're medical people and we do all the finance, do all the marketing, we do all the business transactional stuff. And our partners look after their patients, you know, their members. So their focus is purely on customer experience. Our focus is on delivering a seamless business system so they can actually deliver those services. At this point in time, with 32 clinics, it's working great.
So with that growth, it's been very profitable and a patient probably growth. Like you haven't gone, bang, we're going to roll it out Australia-wide quickly because it is very good. What's been an impediment to growth? Is it been finding the right physios to bring into the business, or it's just been you've just been comfortable doing, getting Victoria locked down, then moving around?
Are you buying the real estate as well?
No. The locations, which they're different locations to say Fernwood, where you could do a greenfield site. We're in, Camberwell and Essendon and Brighton. So what's the Bruce?
The impediment to growth? Like why haven't we got 100 of them?
Okay, well, there's a number of reasons, and it changes. That evolves as well. At the beginning, essentially, it was capital, really, because we had to come up with the capital to fit these things out. Hard to get leasing finance for machines. And they're expensive to do. Whilst they look simple, they're actually very expensive because of a lot of good stuff too. So I guess at the start it was probably capital. It was evolution of the system as well. Making sure that you had all the elements right. So our first clinic, our first proper clinic was South Melbourne, which was it still is a beautiful clinic and was at the time. Big clinic, expensive to run. So we had to be able to cover our working capital losses because it's not a business where, like in the lifestyle business where you sell memberships up front, we don't do that. We grow membership over time. We turn people from patients to members, and it takes it's a duration to do that. So I guess it's not something that can actually just open and say, look, it's working and we've got great cash flow in the first 6 weeks. That doesn't happen. Probably a 2-year break even for most clinics, but they have a long duration. So we sign 20-year leases. They've been going for 50 years over in Switzerland, Germany. So they have a very long life, and you grow your business incrementally over that time. So that after 20 years, they're still growing. So where most businesses have a cap, we haven't experienced that yet. We've got more space. We'll get more customers.
And the equipment's expensive?
The equipment is very expensive, but our franchisor who makes the equipment provides trade finance to us for them. So that's really helpful. Yeah, very helpful.
And what about growth plans?
Growth plans are
domestically, internationally. What's
just domestically.
Yeah.
just stick to the knitting.
Yep.
3 or 4 a year for the next 20 years.
Yep.
Basically,
Keep going.
we think Australia's capable of about 80 clinics,
Yep.
maybe a few more. We don't have a regional model. We don't have a small model that we think works yet, but no doubt that will evolve.
Yep.
And we'll be able to get to some small conurbations. as
Shepparton
time
and
goes.
Bendigo and yep.
Well, Bendigo, we've just opened a clinic. It's going brilliantly, but we're talking about probably population densities of 30,000.
Yeah.
We need 100,000.
And it's not. So this episode was brought to you by Associated Projects, Australia's trusted leader in retail fit-outs, commercial construction, fixtures, project management, 60 years of expertise. They deliver seamless and end-to-end solutions for retail and commercial spaces nationwide.
Yeah.
What do they really do?
They're pretty shit at that, but they're good guys. They know their stuff, but they're shit shop fitters. But give them a go. They'll help.
Nice fellas, yeah.
Yeah.
No, amazing. Got a great. They work from big and small clients, and we've worked with them over a number of years. So
fantastic.
Thank you for your support, Associated Projects. And if you want to find out a little bit more, check out the description, the link below. And it's not cheap compared to your Fernwoods and your gym. Like if it's your gym, you're replacing your gym.
Yeah.
You're paying double, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, but you've got the OTs and the checking in on you and stuff like that. So it's a different model. I get it.
Yeah, it is a much different model, and the labour content of our model is 50% labour.
Yeah, because there's a lot of staff in there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very staff driven, but it's a human services business, and it's a quite a personal business too, particularly when you're injured. You're recovering from injury. You need attention.
Yeah, but people hang around for a while though. Like I did, but they go.
Absolutely.
You get injured, you go there, but then you give up your gym membership and you just stay there.
Yeah.
Is there a discount for short, fat redheads?
We don't use the word discount. Now,
Is there an incentive, Gary?
now, if you go to your GP and ask him to give you an incentive, he'll say, "Yeah, good, get off your ass,
Die later.
and do something."
Well, we're nearly finished, but one of the things we like to ask people at the end of it is just, as a lot of the people listening, or the 3 or 4 that we've got, about they're often emerging franchisors or thinking about franchising. So you've had a journey as a franchisee, franchisor, master franchisee you are now, and then essentially a franchisor for people in Australia. So have you got any tips or, learnings from in franchising?
Yep.
What's something that you say to other franchisors that they should think about when they're doing it?
Well, I think I mentioned it earlier. I think if you want to franchise a business, first build a business. And building a business is not one outlet. I think you need to build. If you want a multi-outlet franchise business, then you need to own multi-outlet businesses before you start franchising.
Yeah, so get your model right.
Well, and don't try to do things too quickly, because whilst the Kieser journey's taken 20 years, I mean, where we are now is a fantastic position. And if
Very solid.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a really good brand, strong in the marketplace, profitable business, really good staff, company culture. But it takes time. And if you're just going to flog stuff, you may as well just be a salesman for another company. I think franchising should be more about building a business first, and then spreading your wings.
So I know you don't have a lot of day-to-day involvement in it, so you got plenty of other things to keep you busy, mate.
Yeah, Bruce, I have an aversion to executive duty. I get migraines when someone asks me to, some executive task.
So you're doing fuck all in the business. So you just sit on a board meeting every month, or
No, I've had a year off from the board.
Yeah.
So I haven't been to a board meeting for a year, which has been excellent. We've got some new.
He's good at holidays.
Yeah.
But look, I've been the other thing I've been doing is I've been building a village in the Masson Ranges for the last 20 years. So I've got I'm at the tail end of that now, but I've developed a small hamlet up there and developed about 85 properties to date. I've got about another 10 to go, and I'm just about to build a luxury hotel on that site, which will start middle of next year.
What? So you own all the supermarkets and the shops. Gary's tobacconist. Gary's supermarket.
No, we don't have a shopping centre there, but we have a very, very nice pub, restaurant, cafe. You know.
Good stuff,
With
mate.
a good red wine collection, I've no doubt.
Thank you very much, mate. Enjoyed the chat. And for those listening, if you thanks for listening to our BDC podcast. If you enjoyed what you listened to today, please remember to like and share. Thanks
Very
a lot.
Good,
Good
good
voice.
story,
Thank
mate.
you.
Well done.
So,
That's
thank you.
great.